Yo, boom, it's official, right? Hey everybody, welcome to the stream today. You may have seen me before or not. I am Zach. I am one of the people who does workshops and stuff around here. You'll hear more about me, my background, 2 slides from now, hopefully. But today, what you're going to be learning about is content creation, how to keep your audience engaged, basically how to market yourself and how to market your stuff, and also how to create content for your stuff to make it look awesome is the general gist of it. The logo at the bottom, that's my company. I do marketing and other kinds of work like that for small businesses, nonprofits, and governments. So, all right, some highlights. What we're going to be talking about today is introduction, my horrible face on the left side, pretty much a look into digital stuff. Since you are all young people, you should know most of it. So kind of glaze over that pretty quickly. Going over your identity, going over audience and how to figure out who they are and what they do, going over content and how to make it, and taking action. Throughout this, you'll see wonderful photos all taken by me. If you'd like to give some flex, just leave a comment. All right, anyways, here we go. This is me. This is a photo taken by my friend, cool photographer. Tag him over here. I'll put his name in the chat or something. Yeah, so this is me. I am a CEO of Blue Eris, a independent business consultant. Yeah, basically I work with these different companies, which are down there. Cities, nonprofits, cool people, really nice stuff. It's really cool what I do because I get a chance to work with these different companies and promote what they're up to and really tell their story, which is a big important thing. Because often I feel companies who are really bad at telling their story, but they're really good at like showcasing what they do, actually doing what they do. So for example, like donor, actually, no, they're pretty good actually. Yeah, let's go with Donor Network. Donor Network West is an organization that actually collects your organs when you die. You're not going to use them. You're already dead. But they give that to people who need it. So they receive organs and give it to people who are in need of an organ transplant. We did a campaign with them to showcase some of the survivors who got organs and basically came back to life and had their whole life changed from it. Really awesome stuff. I do that kind of work. And in that case, it was design work and photography. Normally, if this was a live show, you would have to participate in this thing. But because you don't, whatever. This presentation was also made for a bunch of businesses. So you'll see some stuff that's more oriented towards business. So I'll treat you as that. Digital outlook. Look at these stuff. We got some data and some information. Did you know that the most used social media channel, although maybe not to young people, is Facebook? For young people, it might be TikTok, might be Instagram, or something else I've never heard of. But most people still use Facebook. 2 billion users on like, I think it's a monthly daily active basis. Super crazy, right? 2 billion active users. That's insane. Of course, followed by YouTube and apparently WhatsApp and Messenger, but those are just messaging, so it doesn't really count. And so on and so forth. And it's crazy. These numbers are always going up continuously just because more people are getting phones, more people are just getting active in social media all the time. And I'm pretty sure, actually I'm 99% sure this is only going to go up as time goes along. So it's super important that you get yourself active on the digital world, because often enough, if nobody knows you are online, you don't exist. So look, more information, more numbers, more data. So who's aware of what to do? As you all know, Facebook is for older audiences. I said this in a previous presentation and everyone was like offended. Surprise. But basically older audiences, people my age, 25 and up, is pretty much using this kind of thing, this kind of system. And it's really good for doing advertisement since it's kind of made for advertising nowadays anyways. You'll scroll like one time and you'll hit 4 posts and 1 ad. That's standard practice on there. And it's super cheap to advertise on Facebook. And Instagram is also owned by Facebook now. So if you advertise on one, you'll get it on both. Nowadays, the big thing on Instagram, just like most other softwares, is Reels, which if you don't know what Reels are, it's basically TikTok, but for Instagram. Surprise. So one of the big things you want to do for an Instagram is really just leverage influencers, since they're a big proponent of the application, and you have people who are super popular on there with millions of subscribers, this is YouTube, followers who are doing great content on there. And if you're able to monetize them or give them something to work with and promote, boom, you're in money. Twitter, it's super important for you to get connected on there and just have a face. Twitter is more so not really, let me go back on a bit. Twitter is really good for showcasing a personality. That's why you'll typically have places like Wendy's or I think Burger King sometimes, like arguing and stuff on there, just because it makes for good content. But also it shows off this company's personality. It's not just a gigantic company with no face. It is like a legit person who's running these accounts and communicating with their audience. TikTok, you already know what that kind of thing is. It's really good for educating, showing off stuff, and being unique, which a lot of the other platforms used to be that whole kind of thing, but they're moving away. It's monetization and commercialization. Yeah, so that's the whole shebang. There's other softwares like LinkedIn, Pinterest, Nextdoor, all that other stuff, but these are the big four that you got to get on or you don't exist. Yeah, and one important thing is you should be on every software. Like if you're trying to promote your project, promote yourself, or promote your company, just be on every software. It's free. You don't lose anything except for like 10 minutes for making an account. So if you have like an hour a day, like an hour today, go on there, make an account for your company or yourself on every platform, because this helps out a lot. When someone's searching you up or searching up a project, they're gonna look up your company and your website might show up. But if you have a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Facebook, I said that one already, and all the other ones, when you get searched up, your website's gonna show up and then all of your social medias will pop up, which means you'll rank higher on the SEO rankings compared to your competition who may not actually have social media presence. So you might as well get those bonus points where you can. There's stuff on the right side about how you should use it, where you should focus your efforts. But since I'm going to assume you're all smaller organizations, smaller teams, just focus on stuff that you know how to use best and focus on things that help on the local end, right? Which honestly might just be Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok and LinkedIn is the big four for you guys. As you scale up, you should change it around, but really stick with what you know and what you can post actively on. Business listing sites, this is for restaurants particularly, but it works for other organizations too. That's myself right there, Blue Airs, Baboom, and at our old office, 101 Estadio, also where PilotCity used to be, Baboom. So yeah, like if you're gonna put yourself online, there are some places that allow for ordering, like Yelp, of course, Postmates, Grubhub, Localbee, Google, whatever, so on and so forth. Basically, you list yourself on there, people can find you. It helps with SEO rankings, again, to make you be found. Yelp is a mafia, is what I call it. So you don't have to pay for it, but they highly recommend you do pay for it, but you don't have to. If you exist as a legit organization or team, and you have a location to put yourself into, get one of these. It's free and it helps out a lot. Specifically your Yelp and your Google My Business, because those are what's going to help you be found and legitimize your business. Because if you search up a company and this on the right side does not show up, it's not the best look in the world, you know? But if you show up and that thing comes up there, great, you're a real company. So there's that. And again, another survey for people who would be talking here, engaging in my comment section, but not right now because it's not live. Identity and brand. Oh, and actually, if you want data, most people on here, surprisingly enough, said, wow, Facebook and Yelp were the big two contributors to my success. What a surprise. But yeah, those are the two most monetized systems in existence. Just to let you know, your identity and brand. Your brand is basically who the heck you are and how people see you. So, for example, I think I myself am a photographer, a marketer, and teacher kind of person. When people see me, my brand image is how people see me. For example, some of my students may think of me as just a teacher guy. That's totally fine. Some of my clients, when they talk about me to others, one yesterday said, oh yes, Zach, he's a social media marketing guy who does all sorts of content creation for different businesses and did my whole spiel. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. That guy totally gets my brand. So everything that involves your brand is everything you do. So every time you go and talk to somebody, every time you put a social media post out there, every time you go and get involved with anything at all, that contributes to your brand image. And so when it comes to developing this brand like better, there are a few things you can control that contribute to your image. And some things you should do are create an identity guide or brand guide, which is basically if you're a team or you're a company or a project, create a logo, right? Some sort of image and how you should be using it in every single context, which will also include your copy, which is your text. How do you write about yourself? Do you write about your project or yourself in a super serious format, or are you super chill and relaxed? Are you, is your colors like blue and yellow and red, or is it just black and brown or something, right? So you can control these things on the brand side, on the image side. So just keep that in mind when you develop this. When you're using social media, be active, be consistently active. Don't just post like me on I'll post every 3 to 4 weeks and not do anything until then. I won't engage with anybody, because that just overall hurts your image. People just kind of see you disappear and they forget about you. You're posting once a week, that's pretty good. That's a good starting point for people to recognize who you are and what you're doing. And then for your customer side, if you have any clientele or businesses you're soliciting or talking to, acknowledge that you're talking to them. I actually had a company, let me get this real quick. This is my insurance company. Their name is SMD Insurance, which is funny. It's a joke. for someone, a friend of mine. But SMG Insurance, they are my insurance company. They sent me a piece of mail, handwritten, saying, thank you for working with us. Have any questions, blah, 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 hit me up. That was cool. No one does that anymore. It was super sweet though. So I think of them as more of a friendly neighborhood business, which is awesome. And real quick, I'm gonna turn on my light because it's actually getting kind of dark in here. It is also 8 p.m. Oh God. All right. Honestly, make it easy to contact you. The worst thing ever is when you're trying to work with a business and there's no email, phone number, box to type in my information. That is the worst thing ever. All right. Make it easier for people to work with you. That's one of the big things. And if you can, get involved with local events or local activities. So if in your city, there's like fundraisers going on or like events, show up there, maybe volunteer there, get involved, have a booth if you can. People will see you and say, oh, this person's all over the place. It's awesome. This is a super active company. That's what you want to be perceived as. Yeah, local examples. This is well, people around here know these people, but I'll give you some examples. This company is a local karate, martial arts school. Really awesome. They've been here for 20 years or so, 10 plus years, but it takes like 20 years. I went there when I was a kid. I've got a white belt and I never moved past that. Sucks, but they're super great. And one big thing with their brand is literally everyone and their kids and their parents have been in this program. Like legit, everyone in my city has been in this program. And that's super great because everyone knows them as the place you go if you want to get discipline and essentially have your kids go and be a part of the community and get involved with other kids. And it's great because everyone knows it as the neighborhood martial arts place, which is awesome. In a city of 90,000 people, you get at least like 10% of that. Ba-boom. That's a lot of people who can get involved in this. And they post almost twice, every 2 days actually on social media, which is great. They post about some of the kids who've been in programs, some of the activities they're up to, even like graphics saying we have this event going on. Things like that adds to their brand, shows, hey, we're active, we're doing stuff. And they're always involved with everything in town. They volunteer at every event, they donate to a ton of nonprofits. They do a lot of good work. And as I say here, as I've already said, they got a strong community and a strong local support group because everyone's been here and everyone knows who they are. So they're always hyping them up to all their friends and family and saying, hey, you should go there. Oh, your kid wants to learn how to fight? Send them to that place. And also one important thing is when you have like online listings like Google My Business or whatever, make sure you have 0 negative reviews. People will just post it just to hate on you, can't control that, but they almost have none because they have been going in there, mitigating it and commenting on those negative reviews saying, hey, what's up? What's wrong? Let's get it fixed, right? And you can do that. And it gets the negative reviews removed or changed depending on what happens, right? And their website is super easy. Literally there's a button that says if you want to sign up here and put your name and you're good to go. They call you. Brand guidelines, talked about this earlier. When you develop this, you want to follow this format of what's your mission and vision. Basically, your mission is what are you trying to do? And vision is what would the world be like if your mission is successful. A good example I have at the top, what's a non-evil example? I was about to say Amazon. I was about to be super sarcastic. But like a mission and vision of like Greenpeace, for example, which is an organization that does like super crazy activities to save the world from environmental disasters. Mission might be to help revitalize the Earth's ecosystem and prevent human-made disasters or environmental disasters. Their vision, we see a world where there is no more climate change and humans are living harmoniously with the environment. Boom, right? That's an example right there. Of course, it can be written however you like it. It can be super simple or more complicated. This one's more simple though. It's typically 2 sentences at most, so just keep that in mind. Your copy style and mood, like I said earlier, are you more relaxed? Are you chill? Are you professional? Whatever it might be. Your logo and color palette design, which, like I said, it can be blue, or it can be red, it can be whatever it is. Just make sure it's consistent everywhere you are, right? And this includes your images. If all your images look the same, look like this high-end professional look, they all have to look the same way. If you start going off that branch, going somewhere else, you ruin it. Just so you know. And your website design elements, everything has to match. Everything on every single software. And your foot imagery style, like I said, has to match. So if you're going, wow, do you know somebody that does this epic work? Maybe, maybe not. People, you know, and one example here might be, do you, off the top of your head, what's the first place of business that comes to mind when you think a good business in town that does something good for the community, right? For me, might be that martial arts place, or it might just be this one bakery that donates a lot of their bread to local events. So when you're doing any of your work in marketing and promoting yourself, you should always be looking to implant your brand into the minds of your clientele or potential clientele that you are doing great work, and they should always think of you when it comes to X, which is the service you're providing or product you're giving. Audience, who are you trying to give your stuff to, basically, right? And I'm gonna make this kind of like general-ish on things. So there we go. Younger audiences. Wow, look at that. The cool opacity thing, transparency at the bottom. It's kind of slick, guys. Younger audiences, like I said earlier, you guys, because you're all young, are super quick to adopt trends and get rid of old ones. Hence why there's always a meme of the week. If you go on Instagram or on TikTok, there's even like the theme. There is like a theme of the week though. It's like a trend of the week, right? And it's super quick. If you're not in it, you try to do it, it's outdated, and you're like, oh, the person looks hella tacky if they try to go on an old trend. And I noticed a lot of younger people typically care about brands, which like young people super care about social and environmental issues compared to the older crowd who a lot of them do, but a lot of them really don't care. Younger people tend to care more though, which is what I've noticed, at least in my audience, in my crowds. And what I've noticed as well is, I am generalizing here, is younger audiences tend to care more about super quick and engaging content or meaningful content that's thoughtful and there was actual time placed into it, which basically means if you're going to make anything for social media and for younger people, from what I've seen, your stuff should be quick and easy to look at and just people get to the point super easily with that, right? Or you tell a whole story, right? Let's say if you're making these mugs, right, for example, they look really snazzy. One video might be a super cool video as to how they're made, and it's in 10 seconds in the whole factory. That'd be kind of cool. Or you tell a story about why you're making these cups, what's the process of it in the very beginning to the end, and where is the money going, perhaps. Right, that's an example for you. Of course, it can depend on the type of work you're doing and type of product service you're offering, as well as the groups you're marketing to, right? And God, I feel like when I do this presentation, I'm super generalizing, people get mad at me, but that's how it is. And I have noticed as well, young people tend to be smart impulse buyers, which generally means, hey, I need a new phone. I'm gonna do some research on what's a better phone. And if I have enough money to buy it, I'm gonna buy it. We'll do research, but enough so to the point that once I have enough information, I'm just gonna buy it straight up immediately, just because I need it now. And if it makes sense, I'm just gonna get it. Watch the comment section highly disagree with me. All right, middle-aged audience is basically people who are 30 to like 50. They tend to stick to trends longer than younger audiences. So once they find a thing that works with them, they'll stick to it. Cost effectiveness, then brand care. Basically what that means is if you're trying to sell to like an older audience and such, they will care about this thing being more like long-term useful. It doesn't actually have to mean the brand cares about what they're doing. They don't need to be saving the world. As long as the thing works, that's all that matters, you know? And information can be super simple, right? For them, it's kind of the same thing as the younger audiences generally. And if you're able to leverage the whole word of mouth thing and referrals, that's where you get the money with these people, big time, right? And they've got money and they do spend time thinking about their decisions on what to buy much longer than in their audiences. Older people, be funny if they're actually using TikTok and like Twitch actually. But so brand loyalty forever and ever, right? So once they have a brand, they're sticking there for 10,000 years. That's what I've noticed. Right? Once you get them hooked on, this company makes these cups, they ain't leaving this cup company. It's sticking with them forever. You see these things all over their house. No other cups, well, older cups from like collecting it, but no, they're gonna buy only those ones. And again, same as the older audience, the middle-aged audience with regards to what they'd prefer to buy on the brand image, blah, 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 blah. Nothing too different as opposed to the middle-aged audience, right? It's just the platforms they go on very much more differently. So just keep that in mind. And to note, these platforms that they are engaged with will change over time as well. So they may start phasing out like Pinterest, maybe phasing out Twitter, and maybe moving to Reddit. The whole thing with social media is stuff changes all the time super quickly, and that's just how it is. All right, if you're trying to market to a business, B2B is what they call it, you 100,000% have to make sure you know what you're doing when you sell it and put as much knowledge as you can into selling this. Because when you're selling to businesses, they do the most research ever with regards to the competition, the pricing, and what your competition is offering as well too. So let's say you are offering a drone solution that does like fire safety stuff, right? Let's say it goes in the building, identifies there's a fire, there's a safe way out, maps it out, Ba-boom, right? And it's fire resistant too. Kind of cool. If you are trying to sell to a business that does like fire safety stuff, you bet that company is going to be Googling every company in your city and county that does the same exact thing. And it will be looking them up and will have at least 10 tabs showing all of your competition. So when you're putting yourself out there and marketing yourself towards them, you better have as much information possible that shows you know what you're doing. You've been doing this for a long time, or you have a new specialty experience that shows you're different than your competition, and you're easy to find too, as well. Which what I mean by that is basically when you're Googled and such, you should be showing up on the first page at the top of the page. So you better use it SEO to be on all the platforms and show yourself off to all of them, so you're found super easily. And also when you're being found and such, you should also have reviews and things to show you've worked with people previously and you have a proof of work essentially. So a demo just isn't going to cut it. You need to have successful clientele that can say, I'll work with these people, they've done amazing work. Here's proof to show that, right? So testimonial footage and testimonial work is super great to do work with B2B. And with them, I would say that sales, direct market, so you talking to them, works much better than just social media, just as a reference point there. Hey, look, another survey. Wow, who's your audience group? But like legit though, you should actually figure out who you're trying to sell to, because not all of your businesses are gonna be the same exact type of market. If you're just giving something to your employer, whatever, right? But if you're just selling something to your employer will ask you, who is this intended for, right? Is it intended for my main audience of I'm usually selling products to, or is it for another different group that we've never actually looked at? So keep that in mind when you're presenting or doing anything in this realm. BRB, before we move on to the next section, and you can pause right there. I'm just gonna fucking do this real quick because being sick sucks. All right, how you doing? Content. This is where we're gonna get the nitty-gritty of details on how to make stuff that goes on social media. So yeah, we'll be covering photos, videos, graphics, tools. Ironically enough, this is the longest segment, but I'll try to keep it quick. It's already been 30 minutes, oh my God. Okay, photos, composition, lighting, color, timing. Ironic, there's no photos in the segment. What a guy. There's photos on the next piece. So when it comes to photography, you gotta know a few different pieces before you just jump into it and do it. And it's not just about the camera, by the way. You can go out there with a garbage camera or also using your cell phone and it'll work just fine if you know what you're doing. I'm gonna be pulling out my Wacom tablet, which is a drawing tool, so I can show you off how to do certain things, or when I talk about when I mean composition. Actually, the tablet's attached. Is there a way to draw over here? I'm 99% sure there is. Annotate. Ba-boom. Okay, so when it comes to composition, that basically means the look of the photo and the content within it, right? So this can include the quality of the photo, but it's also about, hey, where are the things in the photo? So for example, if you're taking a photo of an object, you might want to center it, or you might want to follow the guiding lines, which are basically, if you have a camera, there is this like grid thing you follow on there. And typically, if you want to have a good quality photo, you should kind of stick your object within one of those grid lines or in between the grid lines, right? So you might want to have it along the line, or perhaps in this one segment in between. Another thing you can also do is follow guiding lines. Like right here, you can follow this line up here. Follow these lines, and it creates some sort of thing for your eyeballs to follow. Like, ooh, look, I'll look at this, then I'll look over here, then I'll look over here, then I'll look over here, over here. Same thing this way, right? You'll kind of not really look at this area over here, but you'll follow the main piece that's focused on and has the guiding line piece. For this one as well, you can also imagine the grid is going this way once more. My man is in the center frame. Looks great. For pizza, which you can also do, right? This one's a little bit different. There's the guiding line bits, but as you can see, it doesn't really follow it way too much, right? Hence, well, actually, it technically does a little bit. The main focus of this image isn't on like this top bit, or this bottom bit. It's on these center blocks right here, right? So just keep in mind when you're doing these bits of photography or taking photos with your phone of your project or of literally anything you're doing, just keep in mind the composition of your photo. Like this photo right here, if you were going to show off like a site visit, or you guys doing a project on site for a client or a project, wherever it may be, just keep in mind the environment around you that surrounds everything you're doing, so that you have a good composition so it looks just clean, all right? Because I've seen a lot of photos from these projects in other places where it just does not look good. I don't have a bad example right now, but you know the photo where it just doesn't look, it may be out of focus. It might just be really badly set up, right? Where let's say in this photo instead, I, for example, had only this bit of the image. That'd be kind of nice. But one issue with this is you're cutting off a piece of the object at the bottom and the top. That's not the best to do. So make sure when you're doing this type of work, you show off everything on it and try your best not to cut anything off, like how I did right here, unfortunately. Anyways, that's my bit on that one. Let me go next slide. Okay, let me get rid of my drawing, actually. Clear. Exit that. Next slide. Oh, it's still there. Okay. How do I clear my annotations? So there we go. Clear my photos and lighting. When it comes to your lighting, by the way, the super important thing is the camera literally absorbs light. Well, it's absorb light, it captures light when it takes the photo. Unfortunately, if there's no lighting or bad lighting, there's little data or little stuff for your little light for your camera to take in. So it'll just look bad. And so your phone, for example, will compensate by increasing ISO, which is like a lighting thing. I don't know what exactly it's called, but it increases the lighting overall, but it makes the photo super like grainy, right? Which isn't the best type of quality you want to have. You can actually kind of see it in my image on the bottom left, actually right here, just a little bit in the top portions right here and right here. It's not that noticeable because it kind of edited it out. But if you look closer and zoomed in, you can actually see a little bit of grain because it was kind of dark in there. But I put some artificial lighting to kind of show off, hey, this is the main focus of the object, you ignore the background. But so with lighting, you can go for a few different styles. You can go for more of a dynamic one, where the background is kind of really edgy, is what I'll call it, where you're not focusing on it, it just looks kind of dark, and the main point of focus is on the center object, which is super, well, not well lit, but it is, in this case, it is semi-lit, right? Or you'll just go for natural lighting, which is what I did here for these events up here, right? When you're doing portrait photography for people, you should typically have lighting going on one side to show off their features of the person's face, right? And of their shape. And on the other side, you should have lighting to also show off the other side. Where does this person start? Where do they end? Right? One example here is how the lighting around him, well, this one right here is kind of a bad example. His hat kind of blends in the background just a little bit. Once you see it, you kind of don't notice anymore. But for here, there's super high contrast of his black shirt to the white background. So it's like, oh yes, that is his limits, that's his lines. For this guy right here, we've actually had two lights, one going this way, that was much stronger, and one going this way, which was much more dim, which cast a little bit of a light on this end to reflect over here. So we can show off, oh yes, this is his limits, and give a little bit of lighting on these points right here on his sides. While you do that, if you have a photo of just one side, one person is all just lit up, one person's lit up only on one side, it looks kind of, I think I can actually show you on myself actually. If I have my person, if you look at myself right now, super creepy lit up, having one light only going this way, kind of creepy, kind of evil looking, right? Especially lighting's all dark and evil looking, you're gonna make myself look like a not good dude. And there's also another lighting technique where you'll have the light on the person only be lit up, let me take this off actually, from the top, which makes you look, it can make you look kind of cool. But in some cases, if it's not done correctly, it just looks ugly, right? So when you're also doing lighting, you also want to get a diffuser, which if you're doing artificial lighting in artificial space, you don't want to have direct light. You might want to get like a white cover to prevent it from just being harsh. Here's an example using my cell phone light. Oh God, look at how horrible it is. Direct light is terrible, but diffuse light, it's much more balanced and spread out, which is much nicer to look at. And if you do lighting this way, I'll be super upset with you. By the way, this is the evil lighting look. If you're doing this on purpose, great. If you're doing it on like not on accident, and this is what you think is good, just don't do it. All right. So yeah, just as a quick note, lighting is the most important thing. If you're not doing it correctly, it's gonna look not the best for your images. Okay. That's kind of a short rant. Let me clear out my notes on that one and move on to the next bit. So there is two more after this one for photos, and then move on to videos. So for photos and colors specifically, the color wheel is your friend. If you don't know what the color wheel is, it's basically this wonderful thing. You might have seen it in like a class in art or something. It's super legit. My colors I normally have, my background is orange. Usually when there's light in here, it's orange. I will usually wear a blue shirt of some sort or teal shirt to contrast it so that I super stand out in all my Zoom calls, just because that's how color works. Another example you might see is when people have red and blue, because those are two contrasting colors. It's a typical thing people do. There are other combinations you might want to work with, such as red, green, and blue, right? It forms a type of triangle there. Sometimes people just have all three of the same color type, That's complementary. That's not complementary. Complementary is red and blue. These are monochrome, monotone type of colors. Work with what you got, right? For this one, right, I thought the two colors kind of clashed in a really kind of cool way, right? This is the orange of the drinks, and you have the blue in the background of the shop. Kind of cool, stands out, catches your eye. It's like, what the heck is that over there? I don't quite know. This is more of a monotone color-esque kind of vibe where it's orange, red, and yellow all in one image together. Kind of feels more of a warm, more of a nice, calmer place to be. This one is a bit of a also complementary one. So you got the oranges and the greens and the yellows all coming together. Boom, boom, right here on the color wheel. Nice. This one's from a music song album I was listening to. It's pretty cool if you like some jazzy kind of stuff as well. This one, sometimes if you want to make a graphic, all one color or all one type of monochrome kind of thing, can be super cool, right? Depending on how you do it. But just keep it in mind because each color combination gives you a certain type of vibe, which can be good or bad depending on what kind of context you're trying to give off. Gonna cut that one out right there. But anyways, yeah, so just remember all this stuff matters whenever you're doing your brand in the very end, because every photo you put out has to match your brand. And if your brand is in the area of cooler colors, your brand photos should match that type of vibe as well. So just keep that in mind. Timing as well. This is more specifically if you're like an event photographer getting involved with like activities. I'm an event photographer and candid photographer. Too, so means I take photos of moments without like staging them. Action. It's a big thing, especially if you're trying to show off proof of work or projects occurring or things happening. I want to show people doing an action movement, right here, staring up at a project, not sure what they're doing, but they're looking at something, they're doing something. These people are pulling off a tape off of the Rainbow Street that we were a part of. Kind of cool. All right, all these images show something is occurring, right? That's the big thing. And you can do that in anything you're doing. And you can definitely stage it, of course. Just make sure you just don't look at the camera. That's a big thing when it comes to the candid event kind of stuff, is you're not looking at the camera. You're looking at the action and doing the action. So just keep that in mind. And it's super good to do it, especially if you're trying to show proof of work, or that if it's a service, like let's say you're doing a delivery service for food, you might want to show off that, hey, we're doing deliveries and your photos are of you guys doing deliveries to homes, and perhaps you have boxes of food and you're carrying it to the place. That's a super good use of this. Okay, now we're in videos. Keep it in mind that when you're doing videos, at least personally for me, every frame in your video should be a painting. Well, this is actually a quote from somewhere, but every frame is a painting. Every frame a painting. For me, every frame a photo, right? So whenever you're doing any scene in any video, keep in mind it should follow the whole thing of timing, colors, lighting, and composition, just so that it looks good, right? And that's a general rule of thumb to follow. If you're a good photographer, you already know the basics of making a good video, at least with regards to composition and shooting it. Editing it together and all that other stuff, that's another note. But just generally, if you can take a good photo, you can take a good video. Make sure your audio is good as well. I've heard a lot of terrible audios for really good videos and just ruins the whole experience. If you're trying to do social media, short reels is super good for like your short, easy stuff you're doing at the very, very beginning. If you're trying to tell a story about why your company exists, why your project exists, do longer clips. Have you guys sit down and talk about it. Maybe have you guys walk around and do an experience, show off what it is. For me, I prefer showing rather than telling. So let's say you can talk about your company and your story and such. Rather, you guys can do it two ways. One, you sit down in the chair, talk about it in front of a camera. How those YouTubers do, like this. Or instead, you have a voiceover, talk about what your whole mission and vision is, and you have videos of you guys doing your work. Again, going back to the food delivery thing, you guys delivering the food to different places. Use it as B-roll. B-roll is just basically not the main video. It's just videos collected of different side pieces and put them all together using an audio overlay. It's not the exact term, it's just what I refer to it as. B-roll is an official term. The way I'm describing it is totally not the right way. But so, yeah, show off things. Go off and show action, show off movement, show off that you're doing things. You're not just talking about it, but you're creating action. And when you're doing it, storyboard literally everything you do. What I mean by that is, if you're gonna go out and shoot a video in public of you guys delivering food, for example, write it down. The first shot is going to be, we're driving somewhere. Second shot is we're delivering food. Third shot is bringing in more food. Fourth shot is we're showing off some of the families. Fifth shot is something else. And you just go with that, right? Make sure you write it down, because when you get there, You will not remember because that's just how it is. I've gone to shoots, we planned out the entire thing, we forgot about everything we're supposed to get. Pulled up the storyboard, we got it. So just keep that in mind, and it's super helpful down the line. As I said, there you go. Hey, this is literally an example I created, right? This is a storyboard that you can literally use. It doesn't need to be written out. It can just be simple images. For a restaurant, maybe you show off the storefront, right? A slow move by of the restaurant, maybe from a car. Then you show off some of the food, right? Maybe one of the chefs is picking up food from the market or something, or getting it dropped off at the back part of the restaurant. And then you show them all preparing the food in the kitchen, right? Them cooking it, them making it look all nice, and maybe some of the chefs preparing dishes or cooking or cutting up some of the vegetables and such. Then you show the plating, right? Maybe the guy or girl or whoever is getting it close, putting nice little last touches and details on the actual plate itself. Maybe show off the chef themselves, right? And admiring their work, being like, oh yes, I created something amazing. Then you show people enjoying the food, and you show them the front door of the restaurant again, maybe a zoom out, right? Easy. That's a simple storyboard you created in like 10 seconds, right? Well, not 10 seconds. Take time when you do this, because it's super important that you do take time in this. This took like 5 minutes to make, really, right? And the whole issue was getting stock photos, but in the end, yeah, make this and it can be super simple. Oh, and a helpful thing, by the way, when you're storyboarding is legit talk to yourself. When you're recording your scene, you should be talking to yourself and describing that scene. So for this, I would be saying, camera drives by storefront of restaurant, driving by, it's a driving by shot. And let's say it's saying that took 5 seconds, that shot should be 5 seconds. However long it takes to describe that shot is how long it should take your shot to take place. So keep in mind, if you're doing more detailed aspects and detailed shots, that shot should be as long as it takes to deliver that line. So keep it in mind, if you're trying to keep it short, you might need to cut away some details in your actual shots. So that's a note for all of you. The graphics, these are some graphics I made. This is made via Canva, throw out the Canva, made this presentation too, yeehaw. When you make a single graphic, please, for the love of all that is holy and good in the world, make sure it has one purpose. It's the worst thing ever when you have one graphic that's trying to tell the story of like 5 different things, because that just doesn't work. It looks super messy and it's not the best. Like for example, this flyer right here, which I made for an event. This was for a fundraiser. The one purpose is to get you to show up, give money, and donate to this fundraiser. This one, the whole idea originally was to support businesses. And here's a list of all the businesses. Come by, see who they are, and come eat there. These are some example template ones off Canva. They're all templates, so they may not look the best. Well, I mean, they look cool, but there's no like essence to them. There's no content. They mean nothing. So it's up to you to fill it out. But like over here, maybe the example is wear a mask. Easy concept, right? The worst thing ever is like, for example, let's say this one instead was, oh yes, donate and come to our event. But also, you should come by to our weekly meetings and become a member. That's like 4 asks in one. It can be a bit messy, especially trying to write all those things in one graphic. It can be insane. So just keep that in mind when you're doing these graphics, and be as custom as you can. So if you can make more of these things and make them your own, that is the best. So try not to use as many stock images and stock assets as possible. It just may not look the best, but if you're going to use a bunch of them, make sure they all look in the same type of, same way, right? So I kind of did not do that here. This chicken leg does not look the same as a sausage. So excuse me while I drink a little bit of tea because my throat is killing me right now. All right, cut that bit out. So tools to make graphics, photos, videos, that whole shebang. Photos, use Unsplash. It's literally free for all stock photos. I use it all the time. Videos, use Premiere Rush or Premiere Pro. Yeah, Premiere Rush is free-ish. There's a free version of it. But if you're students, you also get a super high discount. DaVinci Resolve is another free software to use. Super good for color grading, which basically means making your stuff look better on editing, right, for colors and such. There's also like Sony Vegas and Filmora Pro and all sorts of other softwares, but those are the big 2 I recommend. Canva for graphics, or Illustrator if you know what you're doing. Grammarly for making sure your stuff doesn't suck, like you're writing, because I've written a lot of stuff, social media social media posts that were terrible, and Grammarly fixed them with regards to what I was saying and with regards to my grammar and my spelling. So make sure you get it fixed. For publishing, which is posting, use Later, use Buffer, use Repost, and use MailChimp. Those are the big 4 to look at. Later in Buffer, they do the same thing. They just schedule posts for later on and show you analytics. Repost allows you to take a post off Instagram and repost it as your own. Make sure you tag your people, by the way. And MailChimp is for email marketing. Super cool. And also social media management. Taking action. We're one more slide from the end. Basically, if you learned nothing from this and just want like the quick shebang, make a social media account on everywhere for a project or for yourself, preferably both. Figure out what platform you should be focusing all your efforts on with regards to putting out content. I recommend at the beginning doing like 2 to 3. Just keep it easy. Plan out your feed. Make sure all of it looks the same with regards to brand and regards to look. Make sure you have a content calendar, which is basically like the storyboard except for your social media posts. And I'd recommend planning out the month ahead of time so you're not like worrying that, oh my God, it's Christmas in like a week. We have nothing prepared. We're dead. So it prevents that, right? Make sure you make your content now so you don't worry about it later on. You should be spending 1 day a week on like shooting, 1 day a week on editing, 1 day a week on posting. Ideally all in 1 day, but if you want to spend more time a week doing it, that's also great. Hold on, pause real quick. God, fucking hell. I hate having the last one of the last things is connect with local influencers and groups, which can be partner organizations, friends, family, literally anybody who has a good social network, and leverage their connections. If you make a post, have them repost it. Maybe have them put on their story. Have them give it a like, a comment, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And update your listings, which is like Google My Business, Yelp, all that good stuff consistently, and make posts on there. And they are a little bit different, but offer deals if you're trying to sell yourself as a service or a product, by the way. The last one is for the businesses I was talking to, but if you need some help, you can always hire an agency. We can check in weekly and you make some money that way. Boom, everyone wins. You guys probably don't have money, so you can't really hire an agency like myself, but later on it does get busy when you're doing all this type of work for yourself and doing the productivity of your organization. So it will make sense to hire someone who knows what they're doing to do this type of work for you. Q&A, ask me questions. You can't do that because it's not live, but you can ask people who work here at PilotCity if they have any questions. Also, if you look at myself right now, look at this blue color right now on my face versus the background. Oh, it's kind of cool. Anyways, thanks for attending today's show. You can hit me up via my email, via my phone number, or my company on screen now. Like, favorite, subscribe for more to this YouTube channel. Donate to our Patreon. And if you like our stuff, go follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and all those other good softwares. I hope you had a good time, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.